Let me ask you something, and I need you to actually sit with this for a second before you keep watching. You went through it. Whatever your version of it is, the financial collapse, the betrayal that came from someone you never saw coming, the season where you were holding everything together on the outside, while quietly disintegrating on the inside. You carried weight that most people around you will never fully understand. You did not quit. You did not walk away. You endured things that would have broken someone with less in them, and you made it. So why does your chest still feel like something terrible is about to happen? Why are you more exhausted right now in the relative calm than you were in the middle of the worst of it? Why does peace feel suspicious? Why does quiet feel dangerous? Why does a good day make you nervous instead of grateful? Stay with me through this entire video, because I am going to walk you through exactly what is happening inside you, why it is happening, and what you can actually do about it. Not theory, not generic motivation, real answers for real people who have been through real things. My name is George. I create content about faith, human behavior, and the complicated space between who you were and who you are becoming. This channel is built for people who are tired of surface-level answers, tired of being told to just pray more or think positive, and ready for something that actually goes deep. If that is you, subscribe right now, because this is the kind of content I put out every single week. And if anything I say in this video lands for you, and I think a lot of it will, I want you to drop it in the comments. Tell me where you are. One word, one line, whatever you have. I read every single comment, everyone. Now, let's get into it. I want you to picture something. A soldier comes home from war. And I mean a real war. Years of active combat. Years of training his entire body and mind to stay alert at all times, to scan every room he walks into, to never fully relax, because relaxing in that environment could get him killed. His nervous system has been rewired by necessity. Hypervigilance is not a choice for him. It is a survival skill that kept him breathing. And then the war ends, and he comes home. And he sits at the dinner table with his family. The kids are laughing. The food is warm. The house is safe. There is not a single threat in that room. But his hands are tense under the table. His eyes keep moving to the exits. He cannot fully hear the conversation because part of his brain is still outside, still scanning the perimeter, still waiting for the hit that is no longer coming. That is not a malfunction. That is a nervous system doing exactly what it was trained to do, in an environment where that training no longer applies. Now bring that image closer. That soldier is you. Maybe your war was financial. Maybe you spent years not knowing how you were going to make rent, juggling bills, making impossible decisions with impossible options, watching opportunities collapse in front of you while you tried to hold your family together. Maybe your war was relational, a marriage that was slowly destroying you, a friendship group that turned its back, a betrayal so deep it rewired how you trust people. Maybe your war was internal, depression, anxiety, a period of your life where just getting out of bed felt like climbing a mountain. Whatever form it took, you were in survival mode for a long time. And survival mode is not something you just switch off when the danger passes. Your mind does not work like a light switch. It works like a thermostat that has been set to a certain temperature for so long that it now treats that temperature as normal. And when things get calmer and quieter than that temperature, your system does not relax. It gets uncomfortable. Because calm stopped feeling like safety a long time ago. So it manufactures threat. It fills the silence with worry. It invents scenarios that do not exist and presents them as urgent. What if the money runs out again? What if the person I love leaves? What if this piece is just the setup for the next disaster? And you know, these thoughts are not rational. You can look at your life from the outside and see that things are actually okay. But knowing something is irrational does not make it stop. You cannot argue your nervous system out of a pattern it spent years building. That is the trap, and that is where you are right now. But here is what I need you to understand before we go any further. This is not weakness. This is not a spiritual failure. This is not evidence that God has abandoned you or that something is fundamentally broken inside you. This is what happens to strong people after long battles. This is the cost of endurance, and it can be healed. But healing it requires understanding what is actually happening. And that starts with a story that is thousands of years old and more relevant than anything you will scroll past today. 1 Kings chapter 19. The prophet Elijah has just had the greatest professional moment of his entire life. He stood alone, completely alone, against 450 false prophets on a mountain called Carmel. He called down fire from heaven, in front of everyone. The fire fell, the crowd turned. The false prophets were defeated. It was the kind of victory that should have sent him into the highest point of his ministry. And instead, he ran. He ran into the wilderness, sat down under a broom tree, and said these words to God. "It is enough now, Lord. Take away my life. I am not better than my fathers." I want you to feel the weight of that for a second. This man had just seen a miracle, a massive, undeniable, public miracle. He had just won the most important battle of his career, and he was ready to die. Not because he stopped believing, not because God had failed him, but because his inner world had absolutely nothing left. He had poured out everything, his courage, his faith, his endurance, his willpower, to win that battle. And the moment the pressure lifted, his system had nothing to stand on. He could not feel the victory. He was too depleted to receive it. Does that sound familiar? The breakthrough came. The door opened. The season shifted. And instead of erupting in celebration, you just felt empty, numb, like you were watching your own life from a distance. Like the person who was supposed to be happy about this win was somewhere outside of your body. And you were just standing there, hollow, wondering why you cannot feel what you are supposed to feel. That is Elijah under the broom tree. That is battle exhaustion that has passed the point where the mind can process victory. Now here is the part of this story that I think most people completely miss. Look at how God responded. He did not show up with a lecture. He did not tell Elijah to get up and keep going. He did not say, "You should be grateful. Look at what I just did for you." He did not rebuke him, question his faith, or tell him to pray harder. He sent an angel. And the angel touched Elijah and said, and I want you to hear this, "Arise and eat, for the journey is too great for you." The journey is too great for you in your current state. Not you are too weak, not you failed, not you should have maintained better, but the next thing requires more than you currently have. So before you take another step, you need to be restored. Rest and nourishment. That was the divine prescription for one of the greatest prophets who ever lived after one of the greatest victories he ever won. And God did not rush him. Elijah slept, he ate, he slept again, he ate again. And only then, only after genuine, unhurried recovery, did God speak to him in the still small voice that would redirect the rest of his life. The pattern is clear. Rest is not the enemy of your destiny. Rest is the corridor that leads you there. Let me talk about what is actually happening inside your head right now. Your mind has been operating in a state of high alert for so long that it has started to treat that state as its baseline. Every time things get quiet, something in you gets uncomfortable. Because quiet, for a long time, was not safe. Quiet was the pause before the next crisis. Quiet was the moment right before something you were not ready for came out of nowhere and knocked you flat. So your mind learned to fill the quiet. With noise, with worry, with plans and contingencies and worst-case scenarios. It became so good at this that it now does it automatically, without your permission, without your conscious input. You are not choosing to be anxious. Your survival mechanism is running a program that you did not ask it to run anymore. And the more you try to just stop thinking about it, the louder the thoughts get. Because you cannot suppress your way to peace. You cannot white-knuckle your way into rest. The trying itself keeps you in the very state you are trying to get out of. There is a verse in Exodus 14:14 that I keep coming back to. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Most people read that and think it means do nothing. Sit back and relax. Let go and let God in the most passive way possible. But when you look at the original Hebrew word that is translated as still, the word is charash. It carries a completely different image. Charash means to be a silent craftsman. It is the picture of a master artisan who stops talking, stops explaining himself, stops defending his process. Not because he is passive, but because he is so focused on the work in front of him that he has no energy to waste on noise. God is telling you to do the same. To stop explaining yourself. To stop trying to manage the outcome. To stop filling every quiet moment with contingency plans and backup strategies. Not because nothing is happening, but because what is happening on your behalf requires your complete and total trust. He is fighting for you in realms you cannot see. He is arranging things you cannot arrange. He is opening doors in corridors you have not even walked down yet. And all he is asking you to do, your only assignment in this season, is to recover. To let yourself be restored. To stop striving and start receiving. That is not passivity. That is the highest form of faith. Now I want to say something that most people in this space do not say, because it is uncomfortable and it is honest and it requires naming something that we usually try to spiritualize away. Peace is terrifying to people who have been through too much. Not theoretically, not in a way you can easily articulate, but in a deep, visceral body-level way. When things get calm, something in you does not relax. Something in you goes on higher alert, because peace, for a long time, was a setup. Good moments had a habit of being followed by bad ones. Every time things stabilized, something came along to destabilize them again. So you stopped trusting the stability. You started treating good seasons the way a trauma survivor treats an open door. Something to approach carefully, because you do not know yet what is on the other side. And that wound goes deeper than most people realize. You have become the person that everyone else leans on. The strong one. The one who always shows up, always figures it out, always holds it together. You have 500 contacts in your phone. But sit with this for a moment. If things fell apart tonight, really fell apart, how many of those 500 people could you actually call? Not to vent to, not to process with, not to be honest with in a way that might make you look like you do not have it together. How many? For most people who have been through what you have been through, the answer is somewhere between 1 and 0. Because somewhere along the way, being the strong one stopped being a choice and became a cage. Because asking for help started to feel like a confession of failure. Because you watched people walk away when you needed them, and you decided it was safer to need no one. That is not strength. That is armor. And armor is extraordinary in battle. But you cannot wear it to the dinner table forever. Psalm 23 says he makes me lie down in green pastures. And I used to read that as pure comfort. Beautiful imagery, the shepherd leading the sheep to peaceful places. But I read it differently now. He makes me lie down. Not suggests, not invites, makes. Because God knows that driven people, faithful people, people who have been through real fire, we do not stop voluntarily. We have confused our hustle with our holiness for so long that we genuinely believe resting is a form of falling behind. We think if we slow down, we will lose everything we bled for. We think our vigilance is the only thing standing between us and collapse. But the shepherd is not leading you to the green pasture as a reward for surviving. He is leading you there because what he is about to put on you requires a soul that has actually recovered. Because if he gives you the fullness of what is coming while you are still running on empty, you will not be able to carry it. He is not slowing you down to punish you. He is slowing you down to protect you from being crushed under the weight of your own blessing. All right, let me give you something you can actually use. Step 1 is the information fast. For the next 7 days, you are going to aggressively reduce the noise you are letting into your mind. Stop scrolling through the highlight reels of people who did not fight your battles. Stop starting your morning with breaking news and the curated perfection of someone else's life. Stop feeding your nervous system a constant diet of urgency and comparison and manufactured outrage. This is not permanent. 7 days. You are simply creating enough silence for your mind to start hearing something other than static. What you feed grows. What you starve loses its power. For years you have been feeding the noise and wondering why you cannot find peace. The peace is there. It is just buried under layers of input that you never gave yourself permission to stop consuming. Step 2 is the morning rewire. The first 20 to 30 minutes of your morning are the most neurologically significant part of your entire day. Your mind is in its most receptive state right after waking. It is open, soft, impressionable. And most people in this country immediately fill that state with their phone, which means the very first thing their mind processes every single day is the chaos of the world, the opinions of strangers, and the anxiety of a notification feed. Starting tomorrow, and I mean tomorrow, not someday, you are spending those first 20 minutes differently. Silence, prayer, stillness. You are giving God the first portion of your attention before the world gets a single second of it. You are setting the frequency for your entire day before the noise has a chance to set it for you. Do this for 30 consecutive days, and you will not recognize who you are becoming. Not because it is magic, because consistency in any direction produces transformation. And you have been consistently feeding stress. Now you are going to consistently feed peace. Step 3 is the 3-circle boundary. Draw 3 circles in your mind right now. Circle 1 belongs to God alone. Your prayer, your inner life, your most honest and unguarded conversations with your Father. This circle is sacred, and it is sealed. No one gets inside it. Not your spouse, not your best friend, not your mentor. That space is between you and God, and it is the source from which everything else flows. Circle 2 is for the 1 or 2 people, and I mean 1 or 2, not 10, not 5, who actually showed up for you when things were hard. Not the ones who said, "Call me anytime." The ones who called you. The ones who sat with you at your lowest, prayed over you at your weakest, stayed when staying was inconvenient. Those people have earned access to your recovery. Let them in. Circle 3 is everyone else. You can love them. You can be generous with them. You can show up for them when they need you. But your healing is not their entertainment. Your rest is not a public performance. And you are under no obligation to explain or justify this season to people who only ever knew you as a soldier. Protect your peace like it is the most valuable thing you own, because right now it is. Now I have to warn you about something, because the moment you commit to this, the moment you actually decide that this season of rest is real and worth protecting, the attacks will come. Not randomly, precisely. The first attack is financial temptation. An offer will appear. It will look like the breakthrough you have been waiting for. It will have numbers attached to it that will make your heart race. It will feel urgent, time-sensitive, like if you do not move right now, you will miss it. But somewhere inside that offer, hidden in the fine print of the spirit, will be a requirement that you abandon your peace, go back into survival mode, and pour out what you have only just started to recover. If accepting it cost you your rest, it is too expensive. Period. The God who brought you through the fire is more than capable of sending an opportunity that does not require you to sacrifice your healing to receive it. Do not let urgency be mistaken for anointing. The second attack is comparison. You are going to see people who did not pass your test getting results that look like they should have been yours. People who did not bleed for what you bled for walking into rooms you have been waiting outside of. And social media will make sure you see it, in high resolution, at the exact moment when your faith is most fragile. Do not look at them. This is not bitterness. This is wisdom. Their timeline has nothing to do with your timeline. Their harvest does not diminish yours. You are not in the same race. You were never in the same race. And the moment you start running theirs, you abandon the lane that was custom built for you. The third attack is identity confusion. This one is quiet, and it is dangerous. You will start to feel like the person you are becoming in this season of rest is somehow less real than the person you were in the war. Like the fighter was the real you, and this quieter, softer, healing version is a temporary deviation. You will feel the pull to manufacture problems, to create urgency, to pick up the armor again, because at least in the armor you knew who you were. Speak to yourself when this happens. Out loud if you need to. Say it clearly. I am not what I do. I am not defined by my struggle. I am not more valuable when I am suffering. I am who God says I am. And right now God says I am in my season of rest, restoration, and receiving. Chosen one, let me speak directly to the version of you that is still sitting in that dark room, still scanning the horizon for the next threat, still waiting for the other shoe to drop. The war is over. You won. I know that does not fully land yet. I know your nervous system is still braced. I know the silence still feels a little dangerous, and the peace still feels a little suspicious. That is okay. That is part of the healing. You do not have to feel it fully to receive it. I see the version of you that held it together when holding it together was the hardest thing imaginable. I see the nights you cried quietly, so no one around you would see you breaking. I see the 3 a.m. moments when the panic sat on your chest like a stone, and you had no one to call, and you got through it anyway. Just you and God in the dark, making it to morning one more time. That faithfulness in the darkness was not wasted. Every single second of it was being recorded and accounted for by a God who sees everything, forgets nothing, and wastes nothing. And what is coming in this next season, if you will protect your peace long enough to receive it, will make the warfare look like preparation. Because it was. Every hard season was training. Every loss was curriculum. Every moment you chose to trust when trusting made no sense was building something in your character that no amount of comfort could have built. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are right on time. In the next 40 days, if you will guard what God is restoring in you, things will begin to shift in ways you cannot engineer. Connections that you need will appear without you chasing them. Doors will open in places you stopped checking. The peace that surpasses understanding will start to feel less like a foreign country and more like home. But you have to receive it, and receiving requires open hands, not clenched fists, not survival mode, not the armor. Open hands, still heart, trusting soul. God is asking you right now, Will you carry what I am giving you? Will you stay faithful in the rest the same way you were faithful in the fire? If your answer is yes, say it in your heart right now. Mean it, and do me one favor before you close this video. If this reached something in you today, if something in here put words to what you have been carrying, share it with one person who needs it. Not for the algorithm, for them. Because someone in your life is sitting under their own broom tree right now, and they need to know that rest is not failure. Rest is the next assignment. Leave something in the comments. Tell me where you are. Tell me what landed. You are not alone in this. And sometimes the most powerful thing is just knowing that someone else sees it. Now, before you touch your phone, before you open another tab, before you answer a single message, sit in the silence for 60 seconds. No music, no podcast, no scroll. Just you and the quiet and the God who is already in it. You have earned this rest. Now take it. Amen.